Well, again, that set to get underway could be as soon as a few minutes.
Okay, Michael Schnell, excellent reporting as always. Many thanks. So, Mark, is this GOP pushback, is it a moment or is it momentum?
Well, Alex, it's a lot more than just bad policy because they voted for a lot of bad policy before. So clearly something's happening here. And I think two things are developing. One is that Trump has hit the height of his political power, and it's going to do nothing but diminish from here on out. He's a lame duck. He's not running for a third term, which has been confirmed by his own Supreme Court justice publicly, Amy Coney Barrett. And so his political power is diminishing. So it's going nowhere but down. And Republicans smell that. They can smell they can smell the fear in Trump of all the things that are happening around him. You stack on top of that, Trump isn't running for re-election now and can't, and he might try, but it won't happen. He realizes that power is diminished, so he doesn't care about the politics of it anymore. All he's concerned about is his legacy. And that's why we have the arch, that's why we have the ballroom, that's why we have the slush fund. It's all about grifting for his family and his friends and trying to embellish his image because he realizes that the politics are going out the window, so he might as well just get all he can while he can.
When even his own allies can smell the fear, that's when you know the tide has turned. This isn't opinion. This is what the data and the insiders are saying behind closed doors. Watch what happens next.
So, Ashley, let's take a listen to what Senator Bill Cassidy, of course, who lost his primary to a Trump-backed candidate, is saying about this anti-weaponization fund. Here it is.
Do you take the acting attorney general at his word that the fund is dead for now, or do you want to pass a bill to specifically outlaw it in the future?
I want to make sure it's not mostly dead. I want to make sure it's completely dead.
That was powerful there. Completely dead. How significant is it that some Republicans are demanding guarantees that the fund is completely dead, to use his words, even as the president is raising the possibility it may not be?
I mean, it speaks to the fact that, even senators within his own party don't trust his word. But here's what I find very interesting about this. It's all of Donald, who you're seeing leading this charge right now are all the members who Donald Trump has politically ostracized. You've got Tillis, you've got Cornyn, you've got Cassidy. Tillis is, that wasn't even, I think, the biggest rebuke of the Trump administration. He said, he called it sort of amateur hour. He said people are done with amateur hour, and so they're starting to push back. So that's the dynamic I find most interesting is those people who Trump has add Massey to the list, who Trump has gone after now are coming back to haunt him. They're leading these efforts to really reassert congressional authority on some obvious things. Why would you give $1 billion to criminals in the face of American people barely making ends meet? You've got an unjustified war that's costing us not just resources, but that also are costing us lives and allies around the world. So that's what I find most interesting is the people that are coming after Trump now on the Republican side are those who he ostracized and that are really calling a spade and telling the truth in the moment where, it's obvious to the American people and it's lost on Donald Trump.
Do you think Trump...
He went after his own people thinking they had no power left. Now those same people are standing in his way. This is what happens when you make enemies out of allies. Share this if you think accountability is long overdue.
Trump miscalculated, Ashley. I mean, long term, he let his personal animus, his vendetta, his sense of rage overtake any sort of political calculation by going against these people, knowing full well they could have the tone that they have right now.
Absolutely. Advice to them is keep going. Don't stop there. Next on the agenda is to be the fact that, which was alluded to just earlier, the fact that the president has now racked up $1 billion in profit while serving in this office, which is against the Constitution. The emoluments prevents the president from utilizing his office to build his own personal coffers and that of his family. And that's what we're seeing running rampant in the Trump administration now. So my point is don't stop there. Keep going. There's a lot to uncover in grifting and his corruption and how it's impacting the bottom line for the American people.
Is that, Mark, what it is about the president's fund that appeared to have crossed a line for some Republicans? Everything that Ashley's spelling out there?
Oh, I mean, you can't get any more corrupt than that slush fund. But, I was just thinking about Cassidy and Tillis and Cornyn and Massey. It's really kind of Revenge of the Walking Dead. I mean, these guys are on their way up, but man, they are gonna get their they're gonna get their licks in while they can. So I think it's just a testament to Trump's waning political party, because the people that he screwed in the primary are now going to screw him in the general and screw him on the way out and screw it and do everything they can to take down whatever is a priority for him right now.
Which is the president's ballroom, apparently. So, Ashley, you have the Senate Republicans, the
$1 billion in personal profit while sitting in the Oval Office. This isn't a gray area. This is a clear constitutional violation. The question is, who is actually going to do something about it? Comment below. Do you think anyone will be held accountable?
The immigration bill that shaved $1 billion in funding for the White House ballroom. Could the key for containing the president be going after his vanity projects?
Yeah, I love the way you put that, his vanity projects. I mean, the president is trapped in his gilded palace, and I think that's what Republicans are sensing. But they're also, more than anything else, they have their eyes towards November. They're reading the tea leaves, where they can see, if we just go back to, 2 days ago, Tuesday in Iowa, for example, it's a state in which the president won by 13%. It's where he went to in January to kick off his midterm efforts. And now he's looking at a situation where his approval rating with independents in that particular state reflects that of what we're seeing across the country.
In his administration, he himself never said whether or not it could potentially move forward. The fact that the administration has not done so and hasn't done so in writing, despite the fund being actually announced in writing, has not gone far enough for some Republican members of Congress, who are now issuing fresh calls to officially kill the fund themselves. In fact, the unprecedented use of taxpayer money has become so politically toxic that sources say many in the GOP were glad to see the issue taken off the table by Todd Blanche, or so they thought. A brief reminder of what we heard from the acting attorney general on Capitol Hill.
Look, we're not moving forward with the fund. We are not moving forward with the fund, period. We are not moving forward with the fund.
Not moving forward ever.
Correct. We're not moving forward with the fund. We're not moving forward with the fund. We're not moving forward with the fund.
Now, before the president's answers today inside the Oval Office, we heard from the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, who sounded upbeat and optimistic. About an hour, actually, before the president spoke to reporters today, the Senate had voted to move forward on a critical first step on immigration funding for his enforcement and crackdown. It had been held up over this exact controversy. And it's perhaps the last major legislative win that the president will get before the midterm elections, which are exactly 5 months from today. But what the president told me today will now seem to hang over a marathon voting session that is set to start tomorrow. Republican leaders have been spending the night trying to calm members who refuse to back that plan or vote for it until they know for sure that this $1.8 billion fund from the DOJ is dead. Just listen to two Republican senators today before you heard the president crack that door back open.
I think even DOJ knows that this was a bad idea, and what we need to do is provide finality. We got to either eliminate it, streamline it, guardrail it. It can't go in its current form, and if that's the only choice we should have, we should eradicate it.
In general, I support what Senator Tillis is trying to do to make sure that the weaponization fund is not just mostly dead, that it's truly dead. I want to make sure it's not mostly dead. I want to make sure it's completely dead.
He said it 5 times. We are not moving forward. And then Trump walked in and blew the whole thing up with one sentence. This is the chaos inside his own party right now. Hit the like button so this reaches more people who need to see this.
Our CNN anchor and our chief congressional correspondent, Mani Raju, joins me now. And obviously, not having this in writing or not, they don't seem to think, these Republicans, which was the point of our questioning to the president today, they don't seem to think the administration has been definitive enough.
Yeah, and look, this is just another example where Republicans want to pull their hair out on Capitol Hill. A perfectly laid plan, so they thought, until Trump comes out and says something else and completely cuts their legs from underneath them. I mean, remember, right before Memorial Day, before the Memorial Day recess where Congress left town for a week, they were going to pass $70 billion in new funding for related immigration enforcement priorities for this president. And then they dropped this $1.8 billion weaponization fund. That blew everything up because Republicans wanted to rein it in. They didn't know how to rein it in, and they knew if they added language to this bill, it would completely derail its chances of becoming law because Trump would ultimately veto it. So then Blanche says what he says. John Thune is happy. They can move forward with this bill. And now he says to you, and he's making very clear that he's not on the same page as Todd Blanche. And now this critical vote is happening tomorrow over this bill. I just want you to listen to what some of these members told me today when I asked them about the president making it very clear that in his mind, this is not a dead issue.
The president said that today he would not rule out this fund moving forward again.
Well, I am.
So does that mean that you're going to still push ahead and try to kill
of course.
it here?
But to answer your question about the weaponization fund, this issue's not dead. It's not over. We have to fix the law. I feel very strongly about that.
Should he say the weaponization fund is dead?
Should I say that?
Should he say that?
I think you heard from the acting attorney general yesterday.
Does that concern you, despite what Todd Blanche said yesterday?
It's kind of surprising based on what Todd Blanche said yesterday.
That's really the question here and the concern that a lot of Republicans have, because you listen to what the president said. If he had said what Todd Blanche said, then it would have been very easy to vote against some of these amendments tomorrow when they come to the Senate floor. But now that the president's keeping it over there open, it's going to put a lot of pressure on some of these key swing votes. You already heard Tom Tillis and Bill Cassidy. That's 2 Republicans. Can they get 2 more? Probably. Susan Collins, in a very difficult race, will have a very hard time voting against an amendment backed by Tom Tillis and Bill Cassidy to rein this in, as will others like Lisa Murkowski, who's been critical. Mitch McConnell also been critical. But the one big thing to watch for tomorrow is that because of the peculiarities of the Senate's rules, it's possible that some of these may have to require 60 votes to be adopted in the 53-47 Senate. It's unlikely to get 60 votes, but it's possible some of these could be adopted by a simple majority. And if it's 51 votes, that's where it could be very difficult for the president. Some of these measures could get adopted and ultimately end up and put the president in a difficult spot where he has to decide whether to sign a bill that includes some of these provisions. Because even in the House, you heard Brian Fitzpatrick there telling me tonight, he's going to push for this in the House with that narrow Republican majority in the House. Perhaps they can get that language out of there, putting the president in a difficult position.
Senate Republicans replaced McConnell thinking things would get better. Instead, it got worse. Now they're staring down a midterm disaster they helped create. History is being made right now. Make sure you're watching. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown.